Welcome to a video in where we talk about the little known facts about the author you know. Hello, welcome. I am James Wheeler and I am hopefully an author that you know. So we're going to be talking about little known facts about me, and we're going to start with the fact that I didn't even finish school. Yes, that's right. I was expelled at age 15. I was a rebellious youth, and therefore the idea of me growing up to become an author is slightly preposterous to most people that knew me back then, and still really weird to people that know me now. Becoming an author is something that I never thought that I'd be able to do, but I'm really grateful with, indie publishing, self-publishing, just I guess the internet in general, being able to Google and to research the skills needed in order to get my books out is an absolute lifesaver. Not to mention now I can turn to my daughter and she can be proud knowing that her father is now an author. So absolutely massive thing, I think, that surprised many of us. Another little known fact about the author you know happens to be that when I was a young teenager, I could barely talk. I stuttered so bad I could barely even get a word out. So to look at me now having a YouTube channel with over 19,000 subscribers and me doing videos weekly, not to mention everything I do on Book Talk and related to these videos that I'm talking in right now, it's quite interesting how sometimes the flip can get flipped. The script can get flipped. But yet even today I struggle to get the words out that I want to use, so I have to think rather quickly and change that word so that way I'm able to actually have conversations sometimes. Another interesting fact about the author that you know is that I actually was almost illiterate completely up until maybe 4 years ago when I very first started writing Seven Broken and Bound. It took an awful lot of effort to be able to put that work together in a way that other people can read. And I think one of the happiest moments of my life is when somebody actually messaged me, let me know that they were currently reading my book and that they enjoyed it. It was something I just never expected to have happen, and I'm really grateful that I managed to finish that project. And I'm really proud of Seven Broken and Bound, even if it's not the best written book in the world. I think the story itself is so solid and single-handedly drives that book forward. Another little known fact about the author that you know is that I love movies. I love movies more than I love books. I fully understand that I should be reading more and more and more and more on books, but I find that really, really difficult. However, I love movies. I love gaming. I love stories, and I use elements from those into the books that I write today. I grew up watching Starship Troopers, for instance. I grew up watching those really oddly bizarre sci-fi movies, the old school cyberpunk movies, like Blade Runner, for instance, and taking elements out of those movies and being able to put them in a story like Seven Broken and Bound, I found really, really interesting. Now, I may not have had any kind of writing experience growing up. However, the one tip that I always kind of stuck by, and that is write what you know. Seven Broken and Bound, I knew sci-fi, I knew a good story, and I know about the love between a father and a daughter. So I kind of grabbed all of those elements together, mixed them up, and you've got Seven Broken and Bound. And if you ask me, it is a fabulous story. Heart-wrenching at times, something that I personally can really relate to, and I'm sure other people can too. And it's an interesting story about a ragtag community that kind of get together and are able to break out of a dystopian prison. Another thing, I love dystopians. Any kind of dystopian, I'm all over. Little known fact about the author that you know is the first reads I ever done was actually Harry Potter. I've read every single Harry Potter book that has been released. I read them in order. I read them after the movies, way after the movies. And I really, really enjoyed them. Harry Potter series was really cool to be my first reads. Another favourite reads would be the Hunger Games series. I read every single Hunger Games book. Really enjoyed those too. I think my top favourite books of all time though have to be Shogun. Fabulous book. Ready Player One and Ready Player Two, both like those. They are some of my absolute favorites. Ready Player One, Ready Player Two. I think that I'm such a gamer. I'm a huge gamer. I have a YouTube channel, 19,000 subscribers. I review games all the time, and Ready Player 1 and 2 takes elements from all of my favorite games and mixes them up and chops them up and puts them in. The movie does a great job to do that with the movies as well, but it is predominantly a gaming stuff that they kind of add in. And so I found it really fascinating to read those books and see all of the little Easter eggs that they kind of popped in. They done a really, really good job. Another book that I really like, or a book series that I would strongly recommend, is the Murderbot series. That is a POV from behind the eyes of a murderbot that kind of goes on her own little way. Somehow she manages to get free from the restraints that she found herself in, and she's kind of like mixing in this strange world of humans. She doesn't quite know what to do with herself, and it's a really fascinating book series. I highly recommend it for anyone that hasn't yet. Another little known fact about an author that you know happens to be that I prefer audiobooks to actual physical books. Don't get me wrong, fully understand how much quality there is to get out of a physical book. And I highly recommend reading to any aspiring author out there. The more you read, the better you understand words and sentence structure and all of that jam. But I'm incredibly dyslexic. To read a book requires an incredible amount of effort. It's very, very draining. And so I find audiobooks just a way of accessing that media. It's just a little bit easier for me. I also work in a bakery on a Sunday, and therefore I can stick on an audiobook and do what I need to do. And I've listened to a lot of really interesting audiobooks that I probably would never have, bothered trying to read the book. Like, for instance, Game of Thrones. You're missing so much information from the TVs to the books. I'm really glad that I had a chance to listen to them on audiobook. But there we have it, guys. They're just a few short, interesting things that I think it might be interesting to know about about an author that you know. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know something about you, maybe, that we wouldn't know on first glance as well.